What's up, all my webheads out there? Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, I'm your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy. Today, guys, I'm bringing you another episode of After the Poll. That's right, fans. This is the video series where I take some of my most highly anticipated comic books and I share with you if they live up to the hype. And adding to this series now, as I talk about these books, we will be doing my top 5 out of the books that I read so far. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this new segment or added feature to this series, right? So before we jump into it, guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, which is MutantBeaverComics.com. Guys, go ahead onto their website and check out all the exclusive comic book covers that they have. They have over 1,000 in their store. And if you go onto the site and decide to order something, you can just use my promo code Corner10 and you can save 10% off of your purchase and future purchases after that. So guys, again, check out MutantBeaverComics.com for your exclusive variant comic books. So before we get started, guys, just wanted to let you know that we have spoilers in these reviews. So if you have not read your copies, go ahead, read your copies, then come back to this video. So the first book that I'm going to be discussing with you all today, and I guess it falls in the number 7 spot. It didn't reach that top 5 status. This one wound up going to Superman Robin Special Issue 1. Now, this is obviously playing off of the Super Sons series, and this had Peter J. Tomasi and Bogdanovich that did the artwork in this book. The artwork is gorgeous, and the cover that I'm showing you here is absolutely gorgeous as well. If you check out some of the artwork in here, it's really cool, man. I like the facial features in this issue. Right, looks really good. Some of the action scenes that they had in here was a lot of fun as well. You know, little odd face there by Superboy, but you know, nevertheless, it had bright, vibrant colors. Love the Hellbat suit that was in this book. You get to see that in here as well. And this is a book that you couldn't have really high expectations for, right? It's a one-shot, but if you love that series that Tomasi did back a few years back with Super Sons, you're gonna love this book. You're gonna love when Robin and John team up together to go on this adventure where they had the Fortress of Solitude is in danger, and there's this cube that basically releases this monster and it's causing havoc, and they got to get it back to its own environment also before it dies. And it's a fun book with these two characters. So again, if you're expecting this heavy action, you know, all out in-depth plot, then you thought wrong. This is just something that it's a lighthearted book with these two, again, going on this adventure, and seeing their interactions with each other was a lot of fun. So if you have the extra money and you miss these two being together, check out Super Sons, or I guess Superman and Robin Special Issue 1. It was a fun read. Coming in number 6, this one goes to Devil's Reign Part 3 of 6. Now, you're probably like, wow, out of the 7 books, this is like your least favorite? Yeah, it's my least favorite out of the 7 that I've read, but it's still a really pretty good book, right? Written by Chip Zdarsky, and Marco Cecchetto does the artwork. The artwork in this series is always well done. I love the beginning of this book as they are interrogating Ben Reilly in here for being this, you know, for obviously doing the wrong thing. And you get to see the introduction of Johnny Storm and Thing in here trying to rescue Ben Reilly, which is actually a lot of fun in this book too. And you get all kinds of different little plot points happening in this book. You get the whole situation going on with Dr. Octopus in here, as well as he's bringing others from the I guess, alternate universe to help him alongside his potential reign over New York as well. This was an interesting book, right? Again, there's a lot of stuff going on here We got Mayor Fisk, who's trying to figure out what was going on how he forgot who Daredevil is, or someone is making him forget who Daredevil is. And obviously he's trying to get reelected to become mayor, and he's using Purple Man's powers to, persuade the voters. You got Luke Cage, who's actually running for mayor as well. And you get to see Octopus. No more Superior Spider-Man, but Dr. Octopus being superior and trying to, I guess, maybe betray the Kingpin as well by bringing in all his little alternate versions of himself. Also, there's a lot of stuff that happened in here. There's something big that happens with Tony Stark in here. And this is a great book, man. There's, again, a lot of things going on in it, and I had a fun time with it. By the time I wound up getting to the end, I was like, you know what? This is a pretty good Marvel event that's taking place throughout the Marvel universe. And it's funny how they constantly bring up the Registration Act, as is like, this is not what we did before with Civil War, but it could lead into that. So I like how they let the reader know that we know that Civil War existed, but this is an event that's not quite that. So I really appreciated this book. It was a fun read, great artwork, good Marvel event story. Now we move on to the top 5. Now remember, this is not a definitive top 5. This is 5 of the favorite books that I've read up until this point. All right, so now we're going to be talking about Gunslinger Spawn. So this is issue 4. Let me tell you, everything about this book is superb, right? The artwork is superb. The story is superb. The price is superb. Never change the creative team on here. Never take Todd McFarlane off this book. Never take Brett Booth off this book. And you know what? Is not as many pages, but the story definitely delivered. We could get 36 pages in the book, but if there's like no dialogue on each page, it doesn't freaking matter, right? So here we got 24 pages of solid art, solid story, and you will not be disappointed when you read this book. This book is absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at this artwork here. It's so good. I'm sorry if my light is shining on the art. Such an awesome book. As you flip through this, just the action here is so great. And in this issue, you just wind up getting to see Violator and Clown. Yeah, they were once one thing, right? Well, now they're 2 separate things, which is really awesome. And in this issue, you wind up getting to see Clown trying to make a deal with Gunslinger in this issue, and Gunslinger's like, well, what if I don't want to, go with your demands? And you wind up getting to see like Clown and Violator beat the shit out of Gunslinger Spawn, and he's talking to him how he's the weakest of all the Spawns, but he has the most tenacity. I just thought this was such a great book and such a phenomenal read. And even when you get done reading this book, you're gonna look at this again and again, because there's so much detail in this artwork. The art is so energetic, it's so dynamic, and the colors just pop. And it's such a good book. I love Gunslinger. So again, this makes number 5 on my list, and hopefully you'll enjoy this one too. Number 4 on this week's episode of After the Poll goes to Thor issue 21. And it is absolutely insane, right? I don't think I've ever read a Thor comic where Thor gets his ass beat the way he does in this issue. The narration is so good in this book. The battle scenes are actually phenomenal. This is kind of a quick read because we get to see kind of Thor beside himself trying to fight something that has been along his side this entire time. So he just doesn't know what to do with himself. Nick Klein's artwork, again, always delivers. Here we get to see some more of the artwork here. And then here's another page right here, which is absolutely insane. So no matter what Thor does in this issue to battle his hammer, he comes up short, and he's trying to find answers like why this has happened. And along the way, you see this gruesome battle where Thor gets his arm shattered, and you're like, oh my God, like really? This has happened, and something severely bad happens to Odin as well, as he's trying to protect his son. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of this book, you wind up seeing the hammer merge with a particular, I guess, a villain in Thor's history, and you're kind of like, oh wow, this all makes sense now, right? And you're like, how is Thor going to battle against this? How is he going to win? And you can't deny this book, man. It is so well done. I mean, again, Donny Cates does some great fan service in here, always throwing out twists and turns when it comes to the books that he writes. And Thor's no different. I love Thor. This is definitely worth a book picking up. Like I said, in any other circumstance, right, this book could very well be my number one. But seeing Thor lost was what attracted me to this book so much, because you're always so used to seeing Thor beat the shit out of everything, right? And for him to find himself helpless I love that. All right, the book that comes in at number 3 in this week's episode of After the Poll, this one goes to Mary Jane and Black Cat. Now, you're going to be like, wow, Mike, this is number 3 on your list? Like, what's going to beat that? Well, you might be a little bit surprised, but this book was really well done, and Jed MacKay was the writer of this. And for you guys that are following my channel for a little while, Jed MacKay wrote Taskmaster, he's writing Moon Knight, and it feels like anything that he writes, I'm really enjoying. So if there's a character that he really knows how to write correctly, it's Black Cat, and he's really added layers to her. It doesn't make you feel like she is just the bad girl or Peter Parker's hot ex-girlfriend, right? He makes her like a person, and that's what I really appreciate here. Here we can see the interior artwork right from the start in this book, and I loved it, especially the opening page, like this page right here. And if you pay attention to it, it's so funny because you can see the girl checking her out in the back, and you can see this guy checking her out from the back, and everyone's checking out Felicia. And it's so funny because she has this presence around her. Like, she's like, wow, who's this chick, right? And this book was so good. I love this book. Basically, what happens in this issue is you get the Red Hood, right, without his hood. And what the heck is his name? Parker Robbins, right? And so basically he has a gun held to Peter Parker's head, and he is demanding that he gets his Red Hood back, and Felicia has to get it back within sunrise, or otherwise he's going to put a cap in his ass and he's going to die, right? So that's what's going to happen. So what happens is Felicia sees Mary Jane in there and wants to kind of save her, and says, you know what, she's part of my crew, she's going to come with me. And Mary Jane was just like, listen, Felicia, I am part of your crew, I am going to come with you. And you get to see this adventure that they take in order to get this Red Hood back in time before he actually shoots Peter Parker. Now, they do acquire this robe, but the ending is quite interesting on what happens to Parker Robbins, which is really cool. And the team up between Felicia and Mary Jane was perfect. This is something that we've never seen in a Spider-Man book, with these two teaming up and being friends, right? And when the mission was over, the book doesn't just end there, right? It shows some close moments with Felicia and Mary Jane with the reader, where the reader can really appreciate these two characters. And they make it a thing in here where, you know, Felicia takes offense to how she is considered that bad girl. You know, she is who she is just because that's the way she was raised, and Peter meant a lot to her. You know, Peter was her first love, and it was kind of funny because they can relate to each other, because Mary Jane said the same thing. At one point, she was the party girl because she was the actress that went to parties and did things, and Gwen Stacy was the goody two-shoes. So they have that common bond with each other, and you saw that in this issue, and that's what made this issue at a higher level, right? It wasn't just this one shot. It actually developed these characters even more by developing these relationship with each other, and maybe these two can hang out together more often, or you see them together more often. Really awesome book. If you guys were sleeping on this and you didn't want this one shot, I say pick this one up. Jed MacKay did a phenomenal job with this book. Coming in at number 2 in this week's episode of After the Pull, this one goes to Saga, chapter 55. This book is back. This series is back. You got Alana back, you got Hazel back, you don't have Marco back, he's still dead. You got a new character in there, and you have classic Saga, right? And I loved every single page of this book. Fiona Staples' artwork is absolutely phenomenal in this book. I love the way she draws all these characters in this world. They have so many great expressions. There's a lot of awesome things that happen in this. You got some crazy suicide bomber that's in this book, and you got some crazy explosions. There's definitely, this book is not for younger readers. There's some insane sex scene in this book. You got the Will who's back. You wind up getting Lion Cat who's back, which is absolutely hilarious in this book. Yeah, it's so good, right? So all the characters look good. Everything that happens in this book looks good. And the narration in here from Hazel is top notch, like it always has been. It's so great to have this series back. I can say that 1,000 times, but it really is. And in this issue, you wind up just getting really reintroduced to everybody, right? You get reintroduced to Hazel. You found out that her father is still dead. He wound up getting murdered at the end of the issue 54, and it's been 3 years. So the time that's taken for this series to come back out again, all these characters have aged in real time. It's like you have not seen these guys in 3 years, and now they're making a reappearance. And so you see Hazel a little older, you see Alana a little older, kind of being, the con artist, trying to smuggle things and trying to, make it by. They're struggling as a family. And then she has a business partner by the name of Bambizano, I don't know, but he's that guy on the cover, this dude right here. So you basically get to see the struggles of this family. You wind up getting to see Hazel's brother, which was Squire, which was Prince Robot the Fourth's kid, and Prince Robot wound up getting killed. And so you get to see that family dynamic, which I could appreciate as a reader because I have a family. Now, I don't smuggle drugs and stuff like that, but it was a cool book to read. And just seeing this fantasy world it takes you out of your element, and that's what's so great about Saga. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue, you wind up finding out that, yeah, these guys are actually drug dealers now, and they probably got some dirty money on their hands, and there's probably people after them besides dealing with the whole war situation that was going on. And yeah, like I said, you get the return of Gwendolyn and Will. They hook up with each other, and they want Alana dead. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in this book. It was a good reintroductory to all the characters that you have not seen for about 3 years, and I'm looking forward to more Saga. So what is number 1 on this week's episode of After the Pull? Well, guys, you're going to be surprised. It is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 87. Now, I'm a little confused on who actually writes this issue, because on the cover it says Jed MacKay and Carlos Gomez who does the artwork. But if you look in the interior cover of this book, it says that Zeb Wells was the writer of this comic. Maybe they have hand in hand, but inside the cover, I don't see Jed MacKay's name in here at all. So I don't know if this was a mistake, or maybe Jed MacKay wrote the Felicia parts. But nevertheless, if Zeb Wells wrote this comic book, there's some good things that can happen with the Amazing Spider-Man in the near future. If I had my say in it, if I was in charge of Marvel, Carlos Gomez would be the artist on the ongoing series. He drew these characters absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, Felicia is going to look gorgeous. He makes her very voluptuous in this book, but it's not even the way she looks. It is the facial expressions of all the characters, their poses in the book is very dynamic as well. He gives them a lot of energy, and it just makes you really enjoy what you're reading when you see this type of artwork. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, when Remuda comes on this book, right? He is not going to do character expressions like that, right? He's not going to draw people with curves. They're all going to look like boxes. And that's what I'm going to be frustrated about. But I love the way this comic book looked. Every single character looked great. I mean, Peter Parker was wearing a paper bag going back to the old days of Spider-Man, right? And it even looked good there. So I have nothing but great things to say about the artwork in this book. But if Zeb Wells did write this particular issue, then you know what? We're in store for some good writing, right? So in this issue, basically what happens is you see Captain America and Felicia. They're trying to get Spider-Man or Peter Parker out of the bed and try to get him in shape to become Spider-Man once again. And he can't earn it. Like, he can't just have the suit. He has to earn the suit. So that's why they make him go out on the town, and they make him wear just normal street clothes and a paper bag, and says, when you're ready, we'll give you that suit back. And we can see that he is struggling, and we get to see Felicia and Cap pushing him to his limits to be the hero that we all know that he can be, right? So it was such an awesome issue. I really enjoyed it. It was such well done writing. And then at the end of the issue, you wind up seeing a little epilogue with Mary Jane wearing the Black Cat costume, leading into the Black Cat and Mary Jane storyline. Now it makes sense why Jed MacKay's name is on this book, because he probably did the epilogue and Zeb Wells wrote the main Beyond storyline. So that makes sense now. But when it comes to the Amazing Spider-Man, Zeb Wells wrote all these characters really well. And that's something that I can hope for when he takes over the main title. And even though Remuda's artwork may not be everyone's favorite, hopefully that type of writing that we saw in this issue just overshadows all that, and you can really enjoy it. But man, oh man, let me tell you, Carlos Gomez, it would be awesome if maybe you're at least the secondary artist on this book. I would love to see that. So at the end of the day, Amazing Spider-Man issue 87, my favorite book of the week. So guys, will that hold up? Will the Amazing Spider-Man stay on my #1 comic book of the week? Well, we'll find out on Tuesday night. And of course, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'm looking forward to hearing in the comments below what you enjoyed reading this week. And as always, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell. You guys know what to do. And of course, guys, keep buying, keep collecting, and most importantly, keep reading those comics. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Thank you so much. Take care.